Did Donald Trump just October surprise himself? Trump's horrific, racist, weird, Nazi-esque rally at Madison Square Garden is already backfiring big time. And Trump did not only do damage to himself, but to the entire Republican Party. Republicans running in key races across the country are now panicking after Trump offended key voting groups just days before the election. This as Vice President Harris continued to deliver her message to voters in Pennsylvania. My name is Brett Meiselas, here with the MeidasTouch Network. Remember to hit subscribe and help us get to 3.5 million subscribers. It all began when a comedian named Tony Hinchcliffe spoke at Donald Trump's event in New York City and called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Watch this.
A lot going on. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody.
That moment, first shared by the MeidasTouch Network, by the way, caused a flood of Puerto Rican celebrities to speak out and denounce Donald Trump and endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. Within just an hour or so after those comments went viral, two Puerto Rican superstars, Bad Bunny and Ricky Martin, posted about the 2024 election. Bad Bunny shared Kamala Harris's video about Puerto Rico with his 45 million followers, and Ricky Martin shared that clip from Tony Hinchcliffe's set to his 16 million followers, captioned, "This is what they think of us." J-Lo also shared this to her followers as well. That's over 315 million followers on Instagram alone seeing this. As Brian McBride says, this is the Puerto Rican version of the Avengers joining forces to support Vice President Kamala Harris. And we were seeing this also on all of our social media channels. These are some of the comments that we received. Here's one. As a Puerto Rican, this pissed me off so much, I proudly put in my vote for Kamala today. Here's another. Despicable. I'm Puerto Rican and had family members die serving the U.S. military. Disgraceful. I knew they were coming for us next. Another, I showed this video to my father, a Trump voter. He is now voting for Kamala Harris. Here's another comment. As a Puerto Rican, I am appalled for the way he talked about my beautiful island. I am glad I vote blue. I wish him the day he truly deserves. Here's from Chef Jose Andres. This is what Donald Trump and his people believe about Latinos and Puerto Ricans and Haitians and Mexicans, and actually about anyone that is not like them. Kamala Harris will support Latinos and will work hard to be a president for all Americans. And I just want to give you the breakdown of Puerto Ricans by state, because this could have major ramifications on the 2024 election. In Pennsylvania, there are 450,000 Puerto Ricans. In North Carolina, 100,000. In Wisconsin, 65,000. Michigan, 50,000. In Florida, 1.1 million. In New York, 1 million. In Texas, 230,000. In Georgia, over 100,000. These are big numbers of voters who are now pissed off at Donald Trump, and they are mobilizing already to go to the polls and vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. And I want to show you this stark difference right here. Here's the Trump campaign versus the Harris campaign on Puerto Rico on the same day. This happened, both these moments happened on Sunday. Watch this.
There's a lot going on. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is home to some of the most talented, innovative, and ambitious people in our nation. And Puerto Ricans deserve a president who sees and invests in that strength. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. And now Donald Trump promises to be even more extreme, talking about using the military against his political enemies and being a dictator on day one. Puerto Ricans deserve better. As president, I will always fight for you and your families, and together we can turn the page and chart a new and a joyful way forward.
And by the way, those were not the only comments that this Trump rally speaker said about Puerto Ricans and about Latinos. Here's another example from his speech. Watch this.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
Just vile, 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 vile stuff. And at the same time, coincidentally actually, Kamala Harris was unveiling her agenda for Puerto Rico in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She presented her proposals to strengthen the economy, rebuild the power grid, and provide benefits to the island. She stopped by Freddie and Tony's restaurant. It's a decades-old Puerto Rican restaurant in North Philly, where she said that she would have a Puerto Rican Opportunity Economy task force in her administration to deal with these sorts of issues. Republican politicians who are up for election, especially those in areas with high Puerto Rican populations, were immediately panicked after Donald Trump's statements went viral. Here's Rick Scott, who's running for U.S. Senate in Florida against Democrat Debbie Mucarsel-Powell. He took to Twitter to write the following. This joke bombed for a reason. It's not funny and it's not true. Puerto Ricans are amazing people and amazing Americans. I've been to the island many times. It's a beautiful place. Everyone should visit. I will always do whatever I can to help any Puerto Rican in Florida or on the island. Well, Rick Scott, you support Donald Trump, and this comes with supporting Donald Trump. This is what you have enabled. Here's another post, this one from Maria Salazar, a Republican congresswoman in Florida, saying, disgusted by Tony Hinchcliffe's racist comment calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. This rhetoric does not reflect GOP values. Puerto Rico sent 48,000 soldiers to Vietnam with over 345 Purple Hearts awarded. This bravery deserves respect. Educate yourself. As Ron Filipkowski said, Republican elected officials with large numbers of Latino constituents continue to express shock that racism is happening at a Trump rally. Shocked. And I hate to break it to you, Maria Salazar, but this rhetoric does reflect GOP values. This is the Republican Party under Donald Trump. It's why so many Republicans are no longer supporting this toxic party that you are a part of. The Puerto Rican Democrats came out with a statement as well. Here is a statement from the chair of the Puerto Rican Democrats. He said, during a campaign event for former President Donald Trump at Madison Square Garden, a speaker described Puerto Rico as, quote, literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean. This appalling statement, permitted and condoned by Donald Trump's campaign, transcends bad taste, is an outright insult to the dignity of millions of Puerto Ricans who call the island home, and the millions more in the United States who carry Puerto Rico in their hearts. Puerto Ricans have fought, bled, and sacrificed to support our nation's democratic values and have built communities throughout the United States. To allow such degrading remarks on a public stage in New York City, historical home to one of the largest Puerto Rican populations outside the island territory, is not only unacceptable, but a disgusting display of disrespect. But it doesn't surprise me. This is further evidence of Trump's hatred towards Puerto Ricans. The Democratic Party of Puerto Rico stands firmly with Puerto Ricans in New York and across the country. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden have consistently demonstrated their commitment to Puerto Rico, working to secure resources for disaster recovery, healthcare, nutrition assistance, and economic development. This is the leadership our people value and support. We demand a public apology from Donald Trump, Tony Hinchcliffe, and everyone involved in this abhorrent display of discrimination. Puerto Ricans can forgive, but we will never forget. The time to stand with Puerto Rico is now. See you at the polls. Very powerful. And in addition to offending Puerto Ricans and the entire Latino community, Donald Trump and his cohorts were also busy offending women across America. Here was the closing message from Elon Musk's PAC. He calls it the America PAC. This is his PAC supporting Donald Trump. Their closing message was to call Vice President Kamala Harris a, quote, C word. Here's the ad that Elon Musk is running online. It says, America really can't afford a C word in the White House right now. This is just disgusting, vile, vile behavior. And it's why we are seeing women right now voting in such large numbers, going to the polls. I did a video on this yesterday. Go check it out. But women are flooding the polls right now. And by the way, they're also convincing the men in their lives to go to the polls and vote for them. I love to see this movement out there. And I want to show you just a quick example of some of these videos that are going viral on TikTok right now of women replaying Donald Trump's words from the Access Hollywood tape while they react and share them with the men in their lives and share them on social media. You have to remember, a lot of women, especially, young women who were very young during those years, they are hearing this stuff for the first time. So you have now new people who are able to vote, who are hearing Donald Trump's abhorrent words for the first time, and they are sharing their thoughts, and this is very powerful.
I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
Huge news there.
No, Nancy.
Yeah.
No, this was marriages, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there, and she was married. Then all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
Pull the hell.
Speaking of Elon Musk, he was at Donald Trump's Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden. You could watch this moment when he took the stage. It's just weird. It's not funny. It's weird. It's hateful. It's bigoted. Enough is enough. It's exhausting. And Americans are exhausted by this stuff. And I'll show you just another example of just the weirdness, the stuff that we're just so tired of from these MAGA people. This was at the rally as well, where Donald Trump had a speaker come up and call Vice President Harris the devil and the Antichrist. As our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski said, this rally is actually making the 1939 Nazi rally at MSG look sane, tolerant, and rational by comparison. America, we cannot hand over the U.S. government to these freaks. Watch this.
In fact, she is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist.
And I just want to show you something else I noticed with that clip. Let me show you the advertisement. Let's pull this up for a second. We see here, Kalshi, bet on the U.S. election. We've been speaking about these betting markets a little bit and how corrupt they are, how MAGA is using these markets in order to try to portray Donald Trump as winning, even though that is simply not the case. And we could see here, this is one of the biggest betting markets out there. They are advertising on the Trump stream, and they are encouraging people to bet on Donald Trump in this prediction market. Bet $100 on Donald Trump and they will give you $175. Just wanted to point that out to show you the manipulation that is happening in plain sight with these markets. All right, I want to show you another group that Donald Trump's rally offended yesterday. Donald Trump's rally speaker, the same guy, Tony Hinchcliffe, also made incredibly racist comments about Black Americans.
All right. Heck yeah. It's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that? A lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
Just really sickening stuff. Really, really, really sick. And in addition to Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally being a total disaster, Trump put out this ad that depicted a country gone to hell. This was the messaging, that America has gone to hell and that Donald Trump is the only person who could save it. The problem with the ad? Donald Trump's ad arguing that the country was going to hell featured footage and images from his own administration. Whoops. Donald Trump at his rally also doubled down on his comments that the biggest threat to the United States of America is the, quote, enemy within. This is rhetoric that mirrors Hitler's exactly, and he says that the enemy within needs to be taken care of by the U.S. military or needs to be locked up. Here were his comments from Madison Square Garden. Watch this.
A massive, vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs today's Democrat Party. They're just vessels. In fact, they're perfect vessels because they'll never give them a hard time. They'll do whatever they want. I know many of them. It's just this amorphous group of people. But they're smart and they're vicious. And we have to defeat them. And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within.
And I want to show you this clip from earlier yesterday. This was J.D. Vance on CNN, and Jake Tapper asked J.D. Vance about Trump saying that he wants to use the military to go after the, quote, enemy within, which is the American people. And Vance tried to deny it, and Tapper tried to hold his feet to the fire. Just watch how disgusting J.D. Vance is in this clip. And now that you just saw the Donald Trump clip, it makes this clip even a million times worse. Watch.
And you'd much rather talk about what Donald Trump allegedly said than what Donald Trump did in office.
I'm talking about
what he did in office, Jake,
what he said publicly.
1.5%
he wants to use the
inflation.
military to go after the enemy within, which is the American people.
He did not say that, Jake.
The enemy
he
within?
said that he was going to send the military after the American people. Show me the quote where he said
he was going to. He said the enemy within.
He said far left lunatics. He's talking
like
about
the
people
Pelosi's
rioting
and Schiff.
He's talking about people rioting after the election. I think
the Pelosi's were rioting after the election.
He said
Adam Schiff was rioting after the election.
You're using two separate phrases. He said about using the military that far left lunatics, people who riot in the wake of an election, people who burn down American cities in the summer of 2020, yes, we should have a federal law enforcement
This is what
response.
he said to Joe Rogan on Friday. The enemy within that he wants the military to go after.
No, this is
the enemy within a bigger problem than Kim Jong-un.
The second part.
We have people that are really bad people that I really think want to make this country unsuccessful. That's who the enemy within.
These people are just so beneath contempt. America, are we not done with these people? Are you not fed up with this sort of behavior? Enough is enough. And I was happy to see Tim Walz yesterday calling this stuff out, calling out Donald Trump's rally and making that parallel from Trump's rally to the Nazi events that we saw in Madison Square Garden in the 30s.
Donald Trump has descended into madness over the last few weeks. And I think some of you don't miss on this. Go do your Google on this. Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. And don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing there.
And while Donald Trump was offending voters at his rally, Vice President Kamala Harris was in Philadelphia, as we were saying earlier. She went to a church, she was at a barbershop, a bookstore, a restaurant, a basketball court. She was all over the place. And the contrast between Vice President Harris's event in Philadelphia and the Trump rally in New York City is just so jarring. Here's a little bit from Vice President Kamala Harris's speech.
We are all in this together. We have so much more in common than what separates us, and we are going to fight for the country we love. And that is why we are all here together, because we love our country. We love our country. And you gotta fight for the thing you love. You gotta fight for the thing you love. And I do believe it is one of the highest forms of patriotism, the expression of the love of our country, to then fight for its ideals. It is the highest form of patriotism, and one of the most powerful ways we do that is with our vote.
Vice President Harris said she ran into some friends backstage in Philly. I think you'll see some familiar faces here.
We're not going back. We're not going back.
And this all comes as ABC Ipsos dropped their final poll before Election Day. This is their poll of likely voters, and it shows Vice President Kamala Harris up against Donald Trump 51% to 47%. But that's not all. The ABC News Ipsos poll shows Vice President Harris winning black men 85% to 11% and outperforming President Biden by 14% with black men from 2020. This is absolutely massive. These are great numbers for Vice President Kamala Harris. And I also want to point out this incredible stat because we know there's early voting going on. This is from the same poll. 8% of adults and 10% of registered voters told ABC Ipsos that they had already voted, and those voters went 62% to 33% for Vice President Harris. Let me repeat. They went 62% to 33% for Vice President Harris. If these numbers are anywhere near accurate, we are seeing incredible data for Vice President Kamala Harris. Absolutely stunning information to have. And I want to just leave you on this note. I could say it myself, but I think Vice President Harris sums it up best. Here's what we have to do in these last few days of the election.
Let's spend these next 9 days knowing we did everything we could, that we connected with each other, with our neighbors, that we went up to perfect strangers in the grocery store and said, you know what? I see you. Let's approach this moment in a way that in the face of a stranger, we see a neighbor. And let's talk with each other about what we have in common. Let's build community. And let's knock on doors. Let's text and call potential voters. Let's reach out to our family and our friends and our classmates and our neighbors. Tell them about the stakes in this election and tell them about their power. So we are going to get folks to the polls and we are going to make our voices heard. And let's give folks some important information. Election day, let's start with the basics. Okay? Election day is Tuesday, November 5th. I'm serious. Everybody's busy. Let's start with that. Let folks know you can vote then or you can vote early from today through Tuesday, October 29th. That's 2 days from now. So now is the time to vote early. Get it done tomorrow if you can. Go to iwillvote.com if you need information about where you vote. And if you have received your ballot in the mail, do not wait. Fill it out today. Because the election is here. And the choice, Philly, is truly in your hands.
You heard her, everybody, and now is the time. I know we are all exhausted of this behavior from Donald Trump. I know we are all repulsed by it, but we need to take that and we need to put it into action. We need to be doing the work, and this goes for everybody. I know we have a lot of viewers of this show who are Democrats, who are Republicans, who are independents, who don't affiliate with anything. Labels do not apply. This is about the United States of America. This is about our democracy. These are about the values that make us the United States of America. So we need a all hands on deck approach in these last few days. Make sure you vote. Make sure you get your pro-democracy friends and family to vote. Women, make sure the men in your lives are voting with your interests in mind. Men, make sure you are voting for the women in your lives and for your own futures as well. So much counts on this election. The stakes are higher than ever, but we need this pro-democracy community to meet this moment, and I know that we can. Do not get complacent in these last few days. Let's do every single thing we can. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to subscribe. We are on our way to 3.5 million subscribers. Remember to add the MeidasTouch podcast anywhere you listen to audio podcasts. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.